We're excited to introduce the Pocket Wizard Plus 3, the perfect radio trigger for photographers looking for simplicity and reliability in triggering off-camera flash or remote cameras. I love the sleek new design of the Pocket Wizard Plus 3. Notice that it mounts sideways on the camera, so it's got a lower profile. The antenna is totally self-contained. It's got a nice backlit LCD screen. The user interface is really easy to use, and it really combines the best features of the Plus 2 and the Multimax. The Plus 3 has 32 standard channels. Channels 17 through 32 are quad zone triggering channels, and the nice thing is the Plus 3 is compatible with all Pocket Wizards and even devices with Pocket Wizard built in. When you're using your Plus 3 with your Mini and Flex, make sure you have your Mini and Flex set to the standard channels because the Plus 3 is not a TTL capable radio. The Plus 3 is easy to connect to the device of your choice. There's a single port here, so if you're triggering a remote flash, you would just plug the flash into that port, or if you're triggering a remote camera, again, you would just plug a cable from your camera into that port. It makes things very simple. I love the Plus 3's simple user interface. The mode button also acts as the power button, so you just press and hold that to turn the Plus 3 on. You can press the mode button to change modes. There are up and down arrows to change the channels quickly, and then you can select your quad zone triggering with the A, B, C, and D button. And I love the test button because now it behaves just like your camera's shutter release button, and it gives you both tactile and visual feedback. So you can press this halfway and you'll see a half circle on the readout, and then I can press this all the way and I'll see a full circle. Now, one of the things I love about this new test button is it allows you to do all kinds of things that you couldn't do before with a remote trigger. So say, for example, I'm triggering a remote camera. Now I can press this halfway to wake up my camera and focus, and all the way to shoot. It's just like a shutter release on an actual camera. And so for sport shooters and wedding shooters, this is significant because I can set up a camera and let it fall asleep hours before the event, and then just simply press this halfway to wake things up and start shooting. The Plus 3 has 6 modes. The default mode is TXRX, which stands for transmit and receive, and that's the mode you're going to use most of the time because all you have to do is slide it onto your camera and start shooting, and it also has auto relay. If you press the mode button once, you'll get into the transmit only mode. And this is great if you're working with multiple photographers and you want to make sure that your transmitter is only transmitting and you're shutting off relay mode. Or you can also push the mode button to get into receive only mode. And this again is perfect in those situations where you know that your Plus 3 needs to only receive signals. HSR mode stands for high speed receive, and this allows your flash to keep up with your camera. In fact, you can trigger your flash at over 14 frames per second. The Plus 3 has 2 modes that are built in for working in challenging environments or when you need more distance. The first is LR mode, and that stands for long range mode, and it's built for remote camera triggering, and it effectively doubles the distance that you can work. And the second mode is repeater mode, and that allows you to put a Plus 3 between 2 Pocket Wizard radios, and it repeats the signal. And this allows you to trigger a camera or a flash or both at greater distances. We've seen the front, let's take a look at the back. The Plus 3 is powered by 2 AA batteries, or you can power it with a USB port, and there's a 1/4-20 thread for a lot of mounting options. We've talked a lot about the features of the Plus 3, but to really understand them, let's put it to use in the studio. Let's talk about the new test button, quad triggering, and auto relay. Let's begin by talking about the Pocket Wizard Plus 3's quad zone triggering. Now I have a lighting setup in the back here that is very, very flexible. I have 4 zones, A, B, C, and D, with 1 light on each zone. So I have my main light, my beauty dish on zone A, my fill light on zone B. I've got this lighting up the background here on zone C, and finally I have a hair light on zone D. And I can turn these on and off independent of each other right here on the top of my camera. So to begin with, I'm going to turn off all of my different zones by pressing my zone buttons on the Plus 3, and so only zone A is active, and I can take a shot. So look right at me, beautiful. I'll take that shot, and you can see with this shot we've got a nice soft light on our model, but we need a little fill and we need some separation. I don't need to zip behind me to adjust anything. I can turn lights on and off right here. So I'll turn on zone B, which is my fill light, and I'll take another shot to see how that looks. Look right at me, love it. And look at that, we have a much nicer shot because we have some fill light. But I need some separation because our model has very dark hair and a very dark background. So I'm going to turn on the separation light and the hair light and take another shot and make sure that we have everything dialed in. It looks pretty good. And now we've got a portrait that we can work with, and I really love it. The quad zone triggering system offers you endless possibilities. If you're a wedding photographer, you may have a second shooter helping you out. So you could be using zone A for your lighting setup. Your second shooter could be using zone B for their specific lighting setup, but you could be sharing a common lighting solution on zone C. Or if you're a sports photographer, you might be using the quad zone triggering system for several different remote cameras. So for example, you might have one camera on one end of a basketball court on zone A and then one on the other end of the basketball court on zone B, and you could turn on and off those different remote cameras by pressing the appropriate zone button. Let me tell you about two more features of the Plus 3 that I really love. The first is the test button. Now the test button works just like the shutter release on your camera. And what that means is when I press the test button halfway, it acts just like I'm pressing the shutter release halfway, and so it tells the camera to start focusing, metering, and it'll even tell a camera to wake up if it's fallen asleep. Now I can always press this all the way and it'll tell my camera to take a picture as well. Now another thing that I'm using here is called auto relay. And what that's doing is when I tell my camera to take a picture, it relays that signal to my flashes, and so my flashes fire when my camera shutter is open and everything stays in sync. The PocketWizard Plus 3 is the perfect solution for all your wireless triggering needs for cameras and flashes. It brings you the ease of use of the Plus 2 and all of your favorite functions from the Multimax. It's perfect for the beginner as well as the Advanced Pro.